Like, our stamina's better. Watch us run around. Like, today was our first day in upper pads, and it's like they're hitting with a little bit more force. But, like, yeah, I can kind of go through, like, Rashad Cheney. Like, all these guys they've gotten better. Like, some of the guys that you might thought were like, hey, it's like he's a good player. Like, in our opinion, like, we want great players. We want guys that would be all league. So a lot of those guys, you know, when you first get here and you're trying to teach them how to be a pro, like what's your process going to be, like what's your routine every day. We spent so much time on that last year when we first got here. Now these guys understand it, so now they can start to work harder and give them like the finer points of the game. And that's where we're starting to see the improvement more than anything else is we're not spending a million hours like policing all the little things that you need culturally to win games. We're actually being able to coach these guys at a higher level.
Coach, I got 3 questions, so let me fire away.
Yeah.
Only one change on your defensive staff. How important is that to the continuity of the program?
That's huge. You know, it's came in there, and really KP was the only person that actually knew this system. So now James is here. DVD has done a really good job. Chad, you know, he got this thing like in the first couple weeks. So it's really helped us because now we're out of the kind of, like normally when you come in and install, there's always some side questions that go into it. Well, you might go into a meeting and still might have a little bit not being clear of exactly what we're trying to get accomplished, and there's none of that now. Plus it goes in the fact that like when I first got here and we got the staff together, we spent a massive amount of time going through the playbook. Now that we don't have to do that, we can literally spend all that time actually working with our players or going to recruit. So all those, the continuity part really, really helps you there in the off season that you can spend less time together and more with the really important stuff of getting really good ball players in here or working with the kids that you have right now.
I asked Rob Marinelli when he was with the Buccaneers, what's the most important down? He said first down because it sets the table for every game. Would you agree?
Yeah, we try to get that. You know, you want somebody to get into like second and predictable, and if you can get them in the second and long, most of the time, if you can get them to 3rd and 7+, then you kind of dictate the terms. It's like when people can win on first down and get you to 2nd and 4, boy, they hold everything. They can play action, they can continue to run the football. I absolutely agree with that.
Coach, bear with me on this one, but I like to compare a defensive coordinator in NCAA football to a commissar in the communist country of the agricultural department. You can only get so much corn from an acre, and everything has to go perfect. You're not going to have a perfect game. The way they spread you out now on offense, you miss one tackle, it may be a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough on your guys.
And it goes into the recruiting part. I can go back maybe 8 or 9 years ago where like the body types that you recruited at linebacker or the second level are completely different to what you recruit now because of that aspect. You can't play with slow guys on the field. You just can't, because it's not the fact that you're going to miss tackles, but how many people collectively off the football can you have running to reel in that space? If you can get 2 or 3 guys to a football, more than likely you'll get them down right at that spot. So it's the recruiting has completely changed. I can tell you, like, playing base defense and putting a linebacker on the field 7 or 8 years ago was like common. Now if you put one of those guys out there and they get you in space, you're going to get eaten up. So we got to continue, like that's like the 2 non-negotiables. He has to have speed, and then we want smarts. Because we believe if he's smart and we're good coaches and doing our job, that we can develop any deficiency they have. But speed is absolutely top priority for us.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
I know in the last 2 games of last season, you had a lot of productivity on the defense, a lot of improvement. I know prior to that, a lot of games that weren't up to your standard.
Yeah.
Big picture-wise, what's the key to moving this defense forward and improving for the next season?
I think it's just the knowledge of the actual package itself. I think us doing a really good job of explaining where some of the vulnerabilities are. And then from our guys' standpoint is just continue to develop as football players and athletes. I really believe that. But if you put a gun to my head and said, like you go in and have some of your moments into a game, I would say, like, lack of the moment experience. Like for a lot of these guys, they got into games and it was just like, okay, listen, we're going to go in here and when is this bad stuff going to happen? And it's like, man, we got to wash this out of our thought process. Like, you got to be in the moment. Are we ready for the big spots? Because like, I'm going to call it that way. Like, I don't think of it like, hey, okay, listen, let's bleed out, give up 30 and see if we can win. I'm calling it to like, I want that mentality. And I think during that stretch, I felt like whether it was whatever, maybe the routine was like different, whether the endurance, the stamina, whatever it was, you hit that hard stretch. Like you get into game 7, which is technically like week 13. When you put fall camp into it, you start to like buckle a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like you said, like all of a sudden you got a little prize in front of you with Charlotte. And then all of a sudden you take a stretch of 2.5 weeks off and you come out like a firecracker, you know what I'm saying? So all those things go into play with us understanding, I think, really like the routine of what we're doing, being bigger, faster, and stronger, and then really being poised enough that, like, if he's going to be aggressive and I have a chance to make a play, like, my mindset has to be, like, go finish that play. I can't, like, you can't, like, push halfway in. You got to go all in. I think they're starting to understand that I'm probably not going to change unless we're just absolutely getting annihilated. I want us to be aggressive because I think it complements our offense.
Coach Orlando, James Hill with ABC7. Can you just talk a little bit about why spring football is important to set the foundation and the tone you want moving into the summer and the fall?
Yeah, so like we tell our guys all the time, it's like you kind of write a passage. So you go into the season and you got to really establish yourself in fall camp. Then you go through the season, we find out like who we can win with. And then you have this stretch of time where you go into like winter workouts and you have to prove to everybody that you're completely invested into it. Then when you go on the field, like if you're not going to give effort and if you're going to be soft, then you've lost that right until fall camp comes again. And if you do it again, then you can't play for us. So I think everybody has to, personally, I have to prove myself to go out in the spring and give these guys as much as humanly possible, but we have to prove ourselves to find out where we're at. And it allows us as a staff, too, to okay, this guy is limited. Like, you got to be smart when we go into fall that this is probably something that he's not going to be great at, or you see somebody that you're like, wow, his skill set's dynamic. So you can play around with some things. You can move some people around, see what it looks like without the expense of going into like a Saturday where you're going to play and you're like, oh my goodness, like I'm putting this kid in here and he's only had 3 days to practice. So a little bit experimental, but more importantly for us is like you have to earn the right. There's a ton of stuff that we do outside of football. If they're not accountable there, then more than likely, in my experience with it, they're going to bust at some point or they're going to be bad teammates. So you got to prove that. And then when you go on the field, you got to prove to us you're going to run as hard as you can to hit people. And you do that part of it, that doesn't guarantee anything. It just tells you can take the next step in the summer workouts with Gio and see how you develop, but you still got to prove to us in fall camp that you're willing to do it again, then you can play.
Coach, last year you inherited Jaylen, who hadn't played much, and he became your leading tackler. What did you like most about him last year, and where does he stand now in terms of taking you in a higher step?
Yeah, so like very, very intelligent guy. Has length, has speed, but just didn't get enough reps to really develop it the way you needed to him. So we spent the majority of the year just working like internally more than anything else. It's like, this is what a linebacker does. This is how he plays. This is the physicality needed. Oh, by the way, you have to run the other 10 guys. So like, that's going to be expensive in terms of your stamina and all these things that go into it. But I've caught myself like, it's pretty cool right now is we've gotten away from like the wiring cultural deals and we're starting to talk about ball now. That's what I didn't feel like we were completely ready to go through that. It's kind of like a tree. It's like you just can't plop the tree down. You got to dig into the ground and get these roots established before you start like figuring out what type of fruit you're going to get. It's like that's what we did last year. Now we're starting to go, okay, we got this part down. Like these are non-negotiables. Now I can work to you. Like they're going to do this when we call this. Like this guy's trying to do this. And what we're trying to do is expand his knowledge so he has the necessary tools to combat the counter that they're going to do to him. And that's where we're at right now, which is really, really cool. Like, I think that's why you get into coaching. And I think that's one of the frustrating parts about coaching is when you go in here and, like, you got to go through the grind of, like, teaching guys the internal makeup of a very good linebacker to now you actually teach them the game. I think we're at teach them the game right now, which is awesome because he's such a bright kid.
Coach, I'm going to steal one more. Your Wisconsin graduate, did you chance to see the Badgers when they came to the bowl game? And that's a whole different dynamic.
I did not, but, you know, it's go back to my old days off of that, and I've kind of kept that tradition rolling, which is really cool. You know what I'm saying? Just run the football, play great defense, special teams are on point. Haven't been back there in such a long time. Love to get back there at some point and see that, but I think they're in really good hands right now and wish them the best.
Rocky Rococo's miss you.
No doubt.
Coach, with Tramel Logan, I think you mentioned at some point last year that the trust, getting him on board and getting him to march to the beat, and clearly had a great season with getting in the end zone. Just what's your overall assessment of how that trust has matured and what he did last year?
Yeah, so what we're asking him to do right now is we're trying to ask him to lead others. You know what I'm saying? He has a unique skill set. He's a dynamic pass rusher. He can do some of the kind of the fancier things, like athletically. He's a tough kid. We know where he grew up at. Now we're asking him to take the next step. And you've got this down, now give some knowledge to somebody else. Or when you go into a drill, that drill has to look so pristine and such the KP standard that if I'm a young guy coming in, if I'm one of the twins and I look at that and I say to myself, like, that's the way it should be done right there. No nonsense, tough guy. That's what we're trying to get out of all these older guys. I just told him outside the field after practice, I appreciate you guys policing the culture, but I appreciate you doing exactly what the coaches are asking you to do. Just stay the course. Now we have to show consistency. That's the unknown right now. Can you continue to do it over and over again? Can you be humble enough to say, like, okay, I'm at this level, I want to get here, and then every day take a step forward? And that's so hard to do nowadays. Everybody wants instant rewards, and it's like, pat yourself on the back, and I did this last year, when it's not even close to where we need it to be at. And just to realize that you get a little taste of success. Nobody's standard, but a little taste of success. What does it take to take the next step with that? That's what we're trying to work on right now.
Coach, you got some pretty good pickups out of the portal. A couple of SEC guys and that defensive back room. What impact do you see those guys making?
I do. All those cats are in the two deep. So that's the one thing that's really, really positive. So I give a lot of credit, okay, to our recruiting department. Because when you look at all the new guys that are coming in, whether they're young guys like Xavier Hamilton or whether they're like Ruck and those guys, it's like everybody that came in, like we never felt that they came in there with the intent like they're owed something. They came in there, they collectively all got along with the older guys, guys that we had for a year and change, and they're all in the two deep. We're excited about every one. So that's a credit, because most of the time when you bring in whatever it is, 8 to 12 guys, you normally miss on a couple, or the internals are messed up and you got to retrain them to say, hey man, this is all about the team, this ain't all about you. That's not the case with any of these guys. So they've been rewarded, they're put into place. I'm really excited. Like, we just did uppers today, so it was like mini thud, go out there, hit a couple people, but none of them are scared. I'm just anxious to watch them play, because I think a lot of them, when you pick up some of these transfers, you get some guys that maybe they had some issues and like you're trying to figure out, and then you can pick up some guys that got some stuff to prove. And that's why I see more of that. I see guys like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. That's great, man. Come on. The more the merrier. Prove everybody wrong. Go out there and play your butt off.
Coach, who's the one guy that you're really going to miss that graduated?
Oh, man, you get me in trouble with everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I like Day-Day. I mean, if you told me Day-Day's my type of guy, my guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm really rooting for him tomorrow. I know these guys will be out there. And, yeah, he's just such a unique kid because, like, his upbringing is very similar. Like, it's like he was taught the game a certain way, the physicality part. And for him to have some success, after he worked his tail in a roller coaster career, at different spots, but to see him settle in and do some stuff, and boy, is he great to us. Like, he'll show up in the office, he'll grab a young guy and say, man, listen to these cats, man, they're going to get you right. So, man, that's probably my guy if I had to pick one.
Coach, when you got here, and even before you got here, a priority was getting better at pressure, getting the quarterback on the ground. You got a little better, but I'm sure you got a lot of room to grow there. Where do you think you stand now? And on the front end and back end of making that pressure.
I think the front end, you know, I'm excited about some of these guys in terms of their pass rush ability, like the front end. And then obviously in the back end, you got AB coming back, you know, you've got some other guys that we think can play some man-to-man, and if we need to give them some relief, we can do that. But it's up front. I just think like that takes some time. Like, okay, when we first got here, we really weren't good at either the run or the pass. So like where do you start? And I think like we were like, hey, listen, like we have to establish some type of toughness culture to be able to stop the run game. Okay, great. You know, now I think we take the next step off of this thing and start to develop some pass rush, maybe with blitz, maybe without blitz, and to get in some coverage deal. But that's why we brought in a ton of these DBs, because we knew that, you know, listen, like at the end of the day, in our league, there are going to be dynamic receivers, and there is going to be a lot of space, and we need to really go out there and do that. So I would just tell you this. I would say it would start up front with those guys. And once again, we haven't really been in a scrimmage mode, but I'm excited to watch these guys like all by themselves in the back end.
From a terminology standpoint, when you look at your depth chart, one position that you have is the B backer.
Yeah.
What is a B backer?
Just a hybrid. So some guys call it like the jack position. It's that hybrid guy that can play on his feet in 4 down, but can play on his feet in 3-4. So it's kind of like a wild card deal with it. It's normally your best pound for pound athlete. That's what you're looking for, so you can get in and out of different fronts.
So if you're a B backer starting here, you're pretty good.
You should be really, really good. I mean, you should be probably one of the best players that we have. And I've had a lot of success with that in the past, you know, probably 10, 15 years. That guy, if he's playing at a high level, he'll get drafted.
Gotcha. Anything else, Coach?
Cool. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Jaylen. All right, leading tackler Jaylen Schuler, 97 stops last year. Yes, you can.
Can you sign mine? No.
Oh, man.
Congratulations to Jaylen.
Make sure I don't leave this out.
So what did last season do for your confidence? You know, we know, 2 years ago you didn't play that much. Then you became the leading tackler. So after a season like that, how are you feeling about yourself?
I mean, I kind of knew it was always there, just given the right opportunity. Last year was just a lot of growing for me, and, physically and mentally, obviously. But so for me, it just, I'm not going to say it didn't really do much, but it just, confirmed what was already there. Granted, I want to do better. Like one of the goals for me last year was to get 100 tackles. I didn't get it. I got 97. But personally, I feel like it was a good first year to come out. But, we can always do better. That's all I'm focused on, getting better this year, for real.
Jaylen, what's the biggest change from spring last year to spring this year?
Oh, we said this. We was talking about this the other day, actually, me and the LBs. Just the connection between the players. Like I think T.O. had said earlier, like the new guys that's coming in, the guys that's been here. Like for me, when I got here, we didn't have that same, like, I'm not gonna say mentorship, but like the older guys didn't really make it a point of emphasis to make sure everybody felt welcome and involved and all that. But so this year, we just have that, me myself included, like being one of the older guys now. Want to make sure everybody feel welcome, everybody feel loved, everybody feel like their teammates care for them, and the coaches and support staff and everything.
One last one. How important was it not just to go to a bowl game, but to win it convincingly?
No, it was cool. I only been in school or college, like Division I, bowl eligible for one more year prior to last year, like and just to see the turnaround in general from bowl game being out the window to us having the chance to go and go on and then doing what we did at the bowl game. It meant a lot to me, and more so for the older guys like Dono and Day who really been here for a long time and didn't really ever get to experience that part of success. Besides, I think like earlier on, like they might, I'm pretty sure they went like earlier on, but to actually participate in that part of success, like to have a good role in that part of success, I was just more happy for them than anything.
Jaylen, when you look at last year, the last couple of games, the defense really was affecting the other team, and you had a lot of productivity. But I know earlier you had some games that weren't up to your standard, that you need to improve. So when you look at the big picture, what is it that the defense needs to do to get up to that more higher standard all the time?
I personally think that like just getting more into the playbook, like in general, like there was everybody who's been here first year into that playbook, and we did all right with it for the most part, and then like you said, as the season progressed, we got a little bit better at it, but for the most part, I think just the first thing would be getting into the playbook to actually know, and not just your role, like know the guy beside you or in front of you or behind you role, like in general, so you can really go out there confidently and make checks that you need to, and just not even take part of the thinking out of it and just go out and perform.
I don't know if you were sitting here when Coach Orlando was speaking about you. He was saying just how you're able to fine tune where you are right now and not just worry about the basics. What is it like for you to, that jump of a year, what you're concentrating on right now? Is it night and day, and what's it feel like, what you're working on right now?
Honestly, I think, like you said, since last year being my first, season actually playing, the difference from even last spring or last fall to like now, because we cut on the tape from last spring and stuff just to look at the difference from how we doing now to how we were our first year. But it slows the game down. Like having experience, and I tell some of the young linebackers, they're like, how you know the playbook so good? Like how you always like you're not stumbling on the harder checks and stuff. We got like experience that just come from playing. So that's probably the main difference. It just slows the game down in general to where I can just play because I actually know what I'm doing out there.
Sure, the culture, the winning attitude, guys that are really getting after it and returning for spring ball. Just talk a little bit about you guys, the lunch pail, just going forward and just grinding.
Yeah, well, coming into last year, obviously I'm not gonna say we didn't have any expectations, but coming off a 1-11 season the year before, the bar was somewhat low. But coming off of last year and seeing that we actually can have success, and even with the success that we had last year, we know that it could have been more. So this year, a 7-6 season last year was okay. Was like one of the biggest turnarounds in college football. But I'm not gonna say that would be a disappointment this year. But like that's not what we're looking for. We're looking forward to going to a conference championship, possibly getting a potential spot in the playoffs. Just progressively getting better than what we were last year.
Jaylen, when you look at Tramel Logan, one of your teammates, in the end zone a lot last year, and impacted the team. What does Tramel mean to your defense, and what was your observation of seeing all those touchdowns, him celebrating in the end zone?
I was trying to keep up with him on most of them because it was like the one in Navy. It was far. I believe I failed actually trying to chase him, but anyway, yeah, man. But Tramel got a motor. Speaking of, but yeah, Tramel got a motor that a lot of guys don't have. So like seeing that, and it's not just for himself. He has the type of motor to like where he sees somebody else not being as productive as he know they can or potentially can be. He's the type of guy that want to bring you up to. I'm not gonna say his level, but bring you up to the level that it should be. And I think that coming from a defensive lineman all the way back to the safeties that we have, like it's not just he turn around and be the linebacker like, shoot, come on, we need you. Like anybody, if anybody's not in the game, Tramel the type of guy to turn around like, come on. And it's not malicious. It's not he's not ripping you apart or nothing. But it's just like, shoot, we need you. Like we need you to do better because we expect better. We all expect better from each other. But Tramel one of the guys who I feel like can get it out of everybody for sure.
What's the overall vibe? You alluded to it earlier. I mean, you guys came off a winning season. You won a bowl game. Is everybody just feeling a lot better about themselves? Not just you, but the whole team. You feel like you have a different swagger, a different feel to the program right now?
Not necessarily. I mean, like I said, I feel like for myself and a lot of my other teammates, we kind of figured, that we had the right pieces or whatever to be successful or win games. It was just all about putting it together, making it fit the way it's supposed to. So, if anything changed, it was, I feel like it's really changed like our attitude towards the losses and stuff. Not really so much that like, oh, we this or we that or anything in particular. We just like, okay, well, we know we can do this. We know this got to be better. We did this to be better right here, so we're gonna do it next time for whatever situation where we wasn't as good as we were supposed to be better this time. So it's not necessarily like a huge like ego booster or nothing coming off the season last year. Just like, okay, we know what's capable, we know what we can do, so we got to be able to do this every time.
And Coach was talking about the newcomers that you have on defense, and they're all, two deep guys. They're all going to contribute. Yeah. What's your observation on the guys that you've added to this defense and what they can bring?
So far, I mean, we got a couple of them. I know I like Marco a lot, the safety. Banks been real good. The guy from South Carolina, Rucker, the corner. They're all coming in. And like I said, we all want them to feel welcome. We all want them to feel like they belong here because they do. That's why they're here, you know. But they all coming in, contributing in good ways, making plays at practice, and you know, hopefully they can carry that into the season with us.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it. All right, Tramel Logan had a program record with 3 defensive touchdowns last year, including one of the Vocal Bowls.
Hey, how y'all doing?
How you doing? Charles, what's your feeling about the program right now, and you guys coming off a bowl win, a little different than the last few years prior to that? What's your feeling about what's the vibe of the team right now?
You know, I'm feeling good about the team. Thanking God for having a great season last year and being blessed to be healthy to go through spring. And the vibe of the team, you know, like that bowl taste had us hungry for more. You know, the season didn't really go how we wanted, but it still ended up, you know, victorious. But we feeling real good about this year approaching us. So.
When you look at spring this year, go ahead.
No, any talk of getting any gadget plays this spring since you have an African ball in the end zone?
Can you repeat that?
Any gadget plays this spring for you? You had shown an African ball in the end zone. Any two-way talk for you this coming season?
Nah, they ain't really talk about it. I be throwing it to the coach's hand there about, you know, I could do it, like, you feel me, if they need me, but it ain't really been too much about it.
When you look at spring last year to this year, what's the biggest change?
Really the intent on how we come out here and practice and like the way we just going about things now has been a huge difference on both sides of the ball. And like you see the compete, the depth, like it's there and like it's really driving like the competition. Like the practice is totally different from the year before.
Last year, the bar was 1 win.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's 7 wins. It's not like, okay, I gotta win 2 games to be better.
Yeah.
Now you gotta win 8.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how's that working mentally?
Mentally, like we want to go win every game. Like you feel me, we trying to win it all, championship. You know, trying to end it off right. Especially me, knowing it's my last year, so I'm trying to end it with a bang. There's only one way to go out big or go home, and I tell them I ain't going home. So that's the mindset we approaching with this year. Every game we going into it to win it.
You gonna look at that pro day tomorrow and say, hey, that's me next year?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Well, last year, you know, Coach Orlando was saying, you know, you were getting to know each other, trust, you know, on both sides. Is it a completely different feeling now?
Yeah, knowing how they came in and what they want to do and how that season went, it definitely built up trust and me seeing their vision, like, it brought me closer to the coaching staff, and I definitely love what they got going on and how we approaching this season and how we doing things off the field and stuff like that. So, like, giving me high hopes for what they got going on in the future.
I mean, they're joking about a two-way player and a guy in the end zone. What was it like when you had a chance to reflect on what happened to you last year? You got in the end zone 3 times, which defensive players, they don't get seasons like that very often. What was that like for you? And what
True.
did you think about it?
It been times throughout my college career where I missed out on opportunities like interceptions or takeovers or whatever, and touchdowns at that. I remember I dropped a touchdown FAMU game, a pick, and it's like I always told the guys, I'm gonna get me one, and then the one happened. Then all of a sudden I just kept stacking it. It's just I knew how it felt. Then it's like I kept itching for that feeling again. I need to get it again. So that's how that led to that, and it just came out to be 3. Just can't, just thank the men above for it.
Jaylen Schuler, who you've been a teammate for a couple of years, the 2 years ago wasn't much of a contributor at all, and that last year became the leading tackler. What did you see from him that made him change like that and become that kind of player?
From when he first came in, he was a good player and things like that. He was sent behind, Dwayne Bowles, who was a very good player too. So he was itching for his time, and then when his time came up, I just kept reminding him this is what you wanted, it's here, we just got to take advantage, and that's what he did.
So when the culture, the turnaround, the grit, the grind, just guys working hard together as a family, just talk a little bit about that in Bulls football.
Yeah, you know, me being here since the beginning, it's like the difference with it is like guys like, you know, it was really that past season, like the way it went, and like the guys seen that like we could really do it for real, like win the conference and things like that. So coming back is like we all understood and knew what it was, and the coaches did a good job on setting the standard. You feel me? And now it's on us to uphold it, not just the coaches. So that's what we getting better at and doing a good job of. I say over this spring is like the players really like understanding and taking control on like upholding the standard and like knowing like what the mission is. And like the coaches been helping us out with our leadership skills and things like that, and like helping us like be better leaders so we can lead the group, and like that been very helpful. So knowing like how we doing that and things like that, like the turnaround is there, and we here.
Last year, when the new coaches came in, for the defense, the biggest thing was to get more pressure, get the quarterback on the ground, and you got better at it, but you got to want to get even better.
Yeah.
How can the pass rush improve even more, and whether it's front end, back end, both? How's it going to work to make you guys better?
You know, some guys were still getting familiar to the defense last year, knowing like there was a new staff and like, you know, we was being limited to certain things because of the depth we had. But overall, I think the real focus on is really getting better rushing as a unit up front, and that kind of what we've been attacking this spring, and it's been getting real better over time. So like that's been the main thing, and like the DBs and linebackers, like they'll come like get D-line work like extra practice or off season, like on the off days or whatever. Like like I need to work on this. Like you help me out, and players don't have no mind. I mean don't have no problem with helping them out. So like that really been a big change around on the edge pressures and things like that. So you'll see more sacks this year for sure.
And what you put on the field in the bowl game, where you guys are just creating havoc and scoring, and is that the vision of what you guys want to be more consistently?
Yeah, I definitely like the stress. Well, we like the stress as a defense. Every time we attack the field, like dominate. Like we gotta, especially up front, we gotta cause havoc. You feel me? To throw offense off their game and create space for our linebackers and safeties to fill those gaps that they need to fill and things like that. So we always preach havoc and things like that. So that's what we're doing.
What about the newcomers? You've got some guys that are coming in and that look like they're going to play key roles. What do you think about the new guys you're adding to your defense?
Yeah, every new guy on defense is good. Like they coming in, competing, and like they looking very good. It's really hard to tell the difference, you know, from the groups and things like that. Cause like the way they playing out there, you know, there's always things we could get better at. But I feel like they taking the right steps as far as coming in and attacking what we got going on. So that's been great.
Thank you, Tremont.
No problem. Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate it. James, if you want to set up here. And Chris is on the way back in. Ryan, I'm in class for sure. You can set up out here on the field and shoot.
Sure. Register now, just
Joey, I'll see you in Orlando.
Yes, sir. Safe travels.
You going over, Leo?
I don't know.
Going over tonight? Good deal.
Absolutely.